So that's why I don't bitch about the cost of eggs. Initially, when you look at it and you see whatever it was, 30-some $1,000 for trans comic books for Peru, how could there possibly be an explanation for that would make sense, right? It's so much deeper. Here's how I would explain it. The CIA, to do certain things, they have approval has to be given directly from the president. Sometimes the president won't sign off on something that they want to do, but they still want to do it. You know, we meddle in other countries' shit. We need to ask ourselves, is that really our business? Is this something we really should be doing? There's nobody that I've ever disliked on the Democratic side and then said, you know, we should shoot or kill them. Ever. If you want a real better understanding, sometimes you have to listen to people that you don't like. And at least it'll be a more informed opinion. And we may still not agree. A lot of this stuff is coming from people who are beginners. Really cool that they're interested, that they want to learn, that they want to know more. But some people get like way too deep in the weeds, whether it's nutrition or whether it's working out. My recommendation, your body don't know. Your body does not know. Your body does not have a brain, but you do. This doesn't end well unless it ends. Can't just report the fucking obvious.
I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and
Just
run
a
it all
motherfucking
back.
jump. Just go. Let's fucking go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy, and the other fucking guy.
What up,
You
Troy?
brought the Camaro today.
She's out of the shop. She's
All
finally up
right,
and running, man. She's
Cool. I
been
love that, man.
Taking a lot of my time recently, but she's finally
Good for you.
on the road. Appreciate that.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now the time to dress her up a little bit.
Yes, she needs
She needs a
some
little
maintenance,
love.
a little bit of love.
She needs
for
a little
sure.
bit of love.
For sure.
Now, I've had to do that sometimes with a few things, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we got Chase over there. And this is Super Bowl Sunday morning.
Yes, sir.
Super Bowl Sunday morning. Y'all are seeing this obviously on Monday, but that's the reason for my Eagles hat, because I went to church first thing, but I got my Eagles hat on, rooting for Jalen Hurts.
Hell yeah.
And you know,
And
we
the
did all
downfall
that.
of Kansas City.
I have my money is on the Eagles.
Hell yeah.
But I did do some bets, like we talked about, that are just player prop bets.
Okay.
That I'm really,
Need some effort from both teams.
Yeah. but that way it doesn't, you know, I can win those with
with like the
and it
safety
doesn't
of us,
matter who
yeah.
wins the game.
Yeah.
I like some of those too.
Those are the best bets because you don't got to worry about
Oh my
someone
God,
winning.
dude! Like, finally, I hit some wins yesterday with hockey and basketball.
Hockey.
But
Okay.
men's college basketball has totally been fucking me up. So I won about $1,000 and I lost about $300. So I netted about $700 yesterday.
Okay.
You know, but the ones I lost, college basketball, just totally. Like, how does a team, you know, who fucked me again? Fucking Kansas State. They've fucked me twice now, and I should know better than to bet on their games.
Yeah.
This is a 500 team, basically. Or they might be one game above 500 now.
Okay.
Okay, but they're basically
Right
a
down the middle.
500 team.
Yeah.
They had going into this game, they had as many wins as losses.
Okay.
So they're not ranked. Kansas was ranked team. Kansas State won the game and controlled it from the very beginning of the game. It's like, and they fucked me previously by beating Iowa State. And I don't know. I think Iowa State was maybe ranked 3 at the time.
I do remember Iowa being actually pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
Iowa
high
State.
college team. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, the fuck is this? Like, yeah, a bunch of it. And then was it Marquette and Creighton? And again, Marquette's ranked team. Creighton is not ranked at all. They're not even a top 25 team. And winning, it's
And
like,
winning games.
like, come on, man. Like, it was ugly. a 4-pick parlay, and I was 2-2. Like it wasn't even close. But it was the college basketball that fucked me. But finally, got my shit together with the hockey and the basketball, the NBA. So it's like, phew. I was getting worried for a minute.
A little bit of breathing room.
Getting worried for a minute. The last thing I want to see is 1,500 again. The money I put in.
Gotta keep it up that level,
Yeah. If you want to listen to a program that talks about guy shit, and women you're welcome to listen to. We want everybody that likes the same things that we do, of course. But the things I like: politics, sports, fitness and nutrition, those types of things, and life, addiction. We talk about that as well. Then this is the program for you. So if you know other people that have those similar type of interest, share this program with them. They can join the Outlaw Fitness family. They can join the Outlaw Apostle podcast family, and we'd be greatly appreciative of that. Hit that subscribe button. I'm the fucking guy. So, very quickly, last night, ate someplace new.
Okay.
Top of the Rock.
Top of the Rock.
Top of the Rock. It's at the Marriott.
Okay.
It's a Marriott resort in Tempe, and it's beautiful to be able to sit there and glass windows all the way around and just looking out and seeing, the city, Phoenix, because, they butt up against each other, Tempe and Phoenix, and you're just up and it's just gorgeous looking out. And we were facing our table was literally right in front of the window, and then we sat looking out the windows.
Was it
next
during
to
the
each
night
other.
or during the day?
Oh, at night.
At
Yeah.
night? Oh, so I bet it looked even better.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
fantastic, and the food was great. It wasn't, kind of. Let me tell you, the Parisian gnocchi.
Parisian gnocchi.
It was an appetizer. You could have that shit as because you could have gnocchi as just a entree. It was so good. And we probably ordered too much food, but we usually do because we order whatever the fuck we want. And we had that and we usually don't do two. We usually don't do two appetizers, unless we're with another couple, and it was just us last night.
Okay.
But we had the charcuterie tray, which is that's
the board with the
I love
cheeses and
that
meats,
stuff
yeah.
when that was excellent. But we could have done one or the other, and if I was just going to do one or the other, is definitely the gnocchi. I would do that, and we probably the salad was so big, we probably could have split the salad.
Yeah.
But we each did a Caesar salad and ate half of it because we're already like getting full.
Beautiful.
And the waiter did a great job of trying to space it out for us a little bit to give us a little bit of a break. And we both had the filet, which was fantastic. But it wasn't a la carte. Like you could order some other items, but like asparagus and mashed potatoes came with the steak. So you didn't have to order anything else unless you wanted to, any other sides. Usually the restaurants, a lot of the restaurants we go to, everything is a la carte. So it was very, very nice. It wasn't, high-end expensive, but it was
high-end experience.
Yes. Yeah, great way to put it. Yeah, it was. So, and interesting. I don't know if did I mention I bought the Omega 007 watch?
You might have mentioned it, but I don't think.
Oh, so I bought the Omega because it's the one watch I had been missing. I had an Omega Seamaster years and years and years ago.
Okay.
And it's what 007 wore in the movies.
Yes.
But it wasn't that
Like exactly.
like they would do a special edition of that watch,
Yeah.
you know? And so I had posted it in the watch group that I'm in. And then I mentioned somebody wanted a close up, and I put that up there. And then I said, you know, it was going to get its debut. I was going to wear it last night when we went out to dinner. And I mentioned the Top of the Rock. And how crazy is that? What a small world we live in when we post online and we don't know who's in a group. And, you know, some people commented that were actually, they didn't vacation in Arizona. They actually live in Arizona and have eaten there and made comments about Top of the Rock too. So that was kind of cool. So, you know, introduction to a few people that way, but very, very nice. But yeah, the watch is cool.
Yeah.
I really, did I show it to you?
I don't think I've seen it yet.
I have to show it to you. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Did you post it on Facebook?
Yeah.
Then I may or may not have seen it.
I did a video. I did more posting in the group.
Gotcha.
You know, of it.
Then your actual,
because I ended up getting 2 watches on the same day.
Hell yeah.
So I really went. So I think which one did I buy first? So I bought another Tudor watch.
Okay.
Which, remember, that's like kind of like
in between the.
Well, it's like Toyota and Lexus.
Yeah.
It's the Toyota.
Gotcha.
It's good, but like but that's the relationship with Rolex, basically.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because Rolex is the
like,
founder
like
of the founder of Rolex is the one who founded Tudor too.
Yeah.
So that, you know, I had my pink Messy on. I was wearing my pink Messy that day, and I'm interested in. It's called the Flamingo. Okay, so it's the Tudor Flamingo. It's with a blue dial, and it's also very, very hard to get. So, you know, I've been trying to develop relationships with these dealers. Yeah, that's it. Upper left. See, it's $5,800 if you can get one. But if you can't get one from a dealer, you're gonna pay, you know, like $9,000 or more. Like I paid around $9,000 for my pink Messy, but it's selling for between 10 and 12 now, easy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the one on the right. Yeah, that's the one I have. That's called that one is called the Messy. That's the one I have. And then the one I want is the turquoise dial. And I ended up buying what they would call a Panda, which is the same thing with a white dial.
Okay.
But I did that. I like the watch, don't get me wrong. But I basically bought it so that I could create a relationship and be a customer of this jewelry store. So, and then was sweet talking the rep. And, you know, like, to move me up on the list. Like help me get this, because you're only going to get a couple. Make sure I'm the one you call.
Gotcha.
And you know, I'll buy other things too.
Yeah.
You know, so my friend Barry was there too, and Don was there, but he came in the store and I was showing him, and he goes, "You did what? You bought this so you could get this?" I'm like, "Dude, that's just how this shit works."
An investment. Yeah.
But think about it. You know, you do that. Well, and the white one I got for MSRP. You know, like but it's not a limited edition. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It's not a limited edition.
Still
yeah.
Nice watch.
So basically, though, I could get 2 watches for what I would pay for one if I had to get it in the aftermarket.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to get it in the aftermarket all the time. Sometimes I have my aftermarket guy. If I have to go to him for some things, I will. And that's how I got the pink Messy in the first place, was through him. So, and I'm trying to do the same thing with Rolex too. You know,
Okay.
Figure it out. Like, what do I have to buy here? What get me in? I want my foot in the door so that
anytime
I can be on the list and actually get shit for cost or for actual retail and not above retail.
Price,
You know, that's happened a lot since COVID, really.
That makes sense.
And
A lot of
yeah,
like
things.
shipping things and stuff like that. A lot of costs. Yeah.
Well, cars, different cars, they'll do that for a while. You know, the TRX truck we had for a minute, that was a little bit above MSRP.
Mhm.
You know, that's it was just in demand. That's
It's just yeah,
if you wanted it, you paid it. If you didn't want to pay that, then you're not going to get it.
yeah.
Somebody else was going to pay it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. So that's why I don't bitch about the cost of eggs.
Gotta get it in there.
Yes.
Still getting a lot of
Yes.
egg videos on your feeds.
Oh, there's still people talking about eggs all the time because that's the comeback for liberals. You know, we're still paying all those for eggs. Well, I forget. I did see. It was a crazy number of chickens that they killed.
Like over like
Was it
5
100 million?
Yeah, it
Or
was
10
a
million?
lot.
Like it was just, I don't remember. It was just yeah. How many chickens did they recently kill? Yeah, there you go.
Over 20 million egg laid.
20 million. Yeah, and that's Trump's fault. It's so funny. Like, think about it. It doesn't matter when something started or when something happened and I think there were some recent economic numbers that came out that were down, but because it came up now, they were saying, "See Trump." But it was actually the reporting was now, but the actual time period was the end of Biden.
Gotcha.
It's like, can you people separate the two? Do you get that? It doesn't matter right now. And that we are going to talk about that because I'm not afraid to ever say I was wrong. I don't know it was so much about being wrong or right, but I've gone deeper into the whole USAID. And that's its real name is USAID. And probably the best thing for people because words mean things and how we say things, it means something. Because I think we get the wrong impression when we say US aid. Because it wasn't about aid. This is not about starving children somewhere or vaccines in other countries or just this USAID that Musk has been looking into and there's been a lot of reporting on in the last week. It goes way the fuck deeper than any good things they might have done, and I'm not saying they never did any good things. And the way it's being portrayed by both sides, even the conservative side, doesn't really tell the general public what's going on. Because initially, when you look at it and you see whatever it was, 30 some $1,000 for trans comic books for Peru, you know, things like that. You're like, how could there possibly be an explanation for that would make sense, right? And the truth is, it's so much deeper. Here's how I would explain it. We have an idea, and just use what you think about the CIA and thinking about the CIA, and when you watch a movie or a television show and them doing clandestine things, doing things that, that we're usually not told about, sending people, spies into other countries to have an effect on those countries, their leadership, their elections, whatever, to cause chaos in other countries.
Yeah.
Because we do try to cause chaos in other countries,
Oh yeah.
just like they try to cause chaos here. And there was a time when they had to change some rules, when they had to make it more, they didn't want people crossing the line.
Yeah.
So certain approvals would have to be given, and for the CIA to do certain things, approval has to be given directly from the president.
Okay.
And sometimes the president won't sign off on something that they want to do.
Yeah.
But they still want to do it.
Okay.
So since they can't get the president to do it and follow the rules, they walk across the street to the USAID and they set up some kind of front to fund it a different way. And this has been going on through both Democrat and Republican administrations. I would say probably in Trump's first term, he had no idea that this kind of stuff was going on. This is literally some of the deep state stuff that we hear about, but maybe don't totally understand what's going on. And we may do this kind of stuff for reasons that we may find acceptable, we may not find acceptable. We may find it acceptable because by doing such and such and keeping certain people in power in other countries allows for the free flow of oil or whatever. And we need oil. And if we don't have the free flow of oil, well, prices are going to go up, expensive. So, it contributes to the prosperity of our country. Yeah. And then there's other times, we meddle in other countries' shit that we need to ask ourselves, is that really our business? Is this something we really should be doing? And what you're going to hear, we're going to play you a little bit of a video of Mike Benz being interviewed by Tucker Carlson. And I would encourage people to listen to this. And let me tell you my own take from listening to this. And I haven't listened to him on Joe Rogan yet, but I will. But I believe there's another long podcast on there. This is somebody who has been digging into this stuff for some years now, and probably has a deeper knowledge. And the way he explains things is phenomenal. And I'm a pretty smart guy. Good, very good comprehension skills. And how I felt after listening to this interview is I felt I needed to listen to the entire interview again.
Okay. It's how complex.
It is that complex to really have an understanding of what he was saying. Mm-hmm. But when you hear Tucker's questions, whatever you feel about him, but Tucker asks good questions. He'll insert his own opinion here and there. But when you hear Mike Benz's answers and how he qualifies those answers, just the way he presents it is one of the most fair ways of understanding it that you ever could. Mm-hmm. That he's saying, in some cases, he's not taking a side. He's just saying, this is what it is, and this is the conversation we should be having. And then what is the problem of having this conversation? In some cases in public, we just couldn't have the conversation in public because it has to do with other things that we don't want other people to know.
Yeah.
And if we're told those things, the whole world would know it. And we don't. So that's where we have to trust our leaders, our senators and such, to be able to have hearings that are behind closed doors and be able to trust them. And right now, the thing is, we don't trust anybody. We don't trust the FBI. We don't trust the CIA. We don't trust our senators. And that makes it very, very difficult because this is like important stuff for our country going forward. And with what's being done here, I talk about, let's just burn the whole fucking thing down. Well, it's not all going to get burned down. It just needs a full makeover. And we have to determine as a country what's okay and what's not okay. Because after you hear this, you're gonna realize that not only is our government doing these things in other countries, the things that they're doing in other countries that we're finding out about now, that Musk is uncovering, they're doing here. They're doing to us. And when you see that they've been successful sometimes in doing these things, and even in those successes, it's almost sometimes not even a true success. Like what was accomplished in the end. But when you find this out that they're able to use data and use data from social media programs like a Twitter or an X or a TikTok, and be able to follow you. And what they can do is they can find out who to target. Like if you want to overthrow a particular government somewhere, well, who are the people most likely to help you do that? Who are the people that are going to be susceptible to, fuck the government? Who are the people that are going to be not just susceptible to that, but then maybe even take to the streets? And they have a way of figuring that out.
Oh, yeah.
Successfully
Really good at it,
figuring that
actually.
out.
Yeah.
That's where I'm talking about the success is. And then targeting those people and spending money on programs. Like, why are we spending money to create a rap song in some other fucking country? Because we're targeting a certain group of people because we want them to help influence an election or help us target leadership in a certain country.
Yeah.
Because on the face of it, it doesn't make any sense. Like we're spending money on a rap song like that.
And not just a little bit of money, like a good chunk of money, especially.
Millions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
a lot.
It's just like...
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, no, that makes
sense. So I have personally said, I don't care what China knows about me. I don't feel like I can be influenced in that way, but I do know people can be influenced. And that's just a fact, okay? It's a fact. Nobody can argue with it. This has been studied. It was studied when we go back to the previous elections in 16 and in 20, that these platforms, even search platforms like a Google, and you put something in and what comes up, put Mike Benz in Google and see what comes up. You're going to see some negative stuff that comes up with NBC. And it's going to be at the top of your search. Why do you think that's happening? Why do you think that would be what's... because there's a reason that's coming up there.
Yeah.
Or there's a reason that you can't find, certain things, or you have to go several pages down to be able to find it.
Yeah.
And when people when they do a search and they repeatedly see certain things at the top multiple times, that the Hunter laptop is Russian disinformation, and then it's backed up by the fact that 51 people associated with national intelligence think it's that, well, why would you not believe that then? But it wasn't true. It was all a lie. So then you understand why, they can be worried about that. But I've always said, so what? Y'all are doing the same shit to us. Why should I be worried about China when I really should be worried about you doing the same thing? And now we know for a fact that's exactly what's been going on. The things that they have been doing to influence people and governments in other countries, our own country has been doing to us. And it's not a conspiracy theory. It just has been done. Yeah. And it goes down to, you want to understand what really happened in Charlottesville and how that happened? You want to understand how, any of these things where they're not organic, okay? Occupy whatever, those different groups, the Occupy Democrats or whatever the organization is that would put these things together and protest different places. Who funded it? Who funded Black Lives Matter? It wasn't about any of the things that you think it was. This was USAID funding that shit to cause chaos here, to influence things here, to create racial strife here. So let's listen to a little bit of this. I'm probably not going to stop it, really. I'm going to let this play through for about 5 minutes or so because it's that good. And I think it's one of the prime examples that I found of what you're going to find through the whole interview.
Okay.
And just listen to how thoughtful his answers are. And I think that will help too.
I guess accessible. Let's just say it really is vital to U.S. national interests to build that military base in Bangladesh to counter Chinese influence, and the Bangladeshi prime minister doesn't want to do it. And so our foreign policy planners decide we need to do regime change. And whether or not you agree that's a good or an evil thing to do, I'm not even weighing into the morality of it. What if it is the declared or discrete policy of the U.S. government, the State Department and the White House and the National Security Council all agree this government, we should pursue regime change, all options to destabilize that country in order to weaken the existing government and to build up our network of democratic institutions and activists in order to either win the next election or in order to, do a color revolution style, ousting where the prime minister has to flee in a helicopter. And what was done in this case in Bangladesh, and these leaked documents from the gray zone show this in gratuitous detail, is that the National Endowment for Democracy's Republican arm, the International Republican Institute, they have 4 core forces, but 2 of them are political branches. There's the NDI, the National Democratic Institute for Democrats, and there's the IRI, the International Republican Institute for Republicans. And what the IRI submitted to the State Department in 2019, 2020, after they got walloped trying to back the Bangladeshi National Party in the recent past election, was a plan to destabilize Bangladesh politics. That's a direct quote, destabilize Bangladesh politics, by working with, they listed 170 pro-democracy activists, 304 key informants, and then they did a baseline assessment of the different ethnic groups and cultural cleavage points that they could exploit in order to effectively, either destabilize the country's politics or prop up the political alternative. And in the process of doing that, they sought the LGBT population, two Bangladeshi ethnic minority groups, and young students and student groups who had already been protesting earlier that year because of a local politics issue there, and they noted that rap music was popular and young people were listening to rap music in Bangladesh. So what do? They turned around and they took U.S. taxpayer funds. They get 100% of their money from the State Department, and they work closely with USAID. They actually administer USAID programs all over Bangladesh and all over the world. And they funded Bangladeshi rap groups to produce songs and music videos insinuating that people should take to the streets and do street protests, and the classic peaceful protest that's has the upside of being a riot, and one of in IRI's baseline assessment submitted to the State Department, they talked about how one of the songs that they paid for was designed to sow resentment at the sitting government and basically undermine the popularity of the government. So you have one sponsored song to get people to take the streets, another sponsored rap song to get people to distrust their government, and then basically the baseline assessment revealed that these groups were the ones who would be receptive. Those were the contacts in the region. They do field work when they do these baseline assessments. What if the baseline assessment or the strategic assessment happens to reveal that the highest ROI for soft power projection is with very unseemly groups and activities? This is, for example, how we end up funding terrorist groups and paramilitaries, and very extreme, because oftentimes when you have a popular government, it's the coalition of the fringes and the extremes and the weirdos and the criminals and the prostitutes. This was in an NED memo in 2009 for Cuba, where the National Endowment for Democracy, they have something called the Journal of Democracy, and they talked about this exact phenomenon, that they might be able to mobilize the Afro-Cuban community to leveraging racial animus against the mostly white Cuban government, and taking note of proclivities for, I think it was prostitution, crime, and drugs, and how USAID might be able to swoop in and mobilize these people because a lot of them are really unemployed. And also, USAID should fund the rap groups there because these populations all listen to rap, and they did. And this is another great gray zone.
You're making the hair on my arms go up because you're describing what's happened in our country.
Yes.
You're describing the 2017 Charlottesville march, the Nazi march. You're describing what happened on January 6th. You're describing the riots after George Floyd was murdered. You're describing the rise of rap music and drugs in our city, and all of it. You're describing, tranny story hour, and you're describing all the trends in our country that seem to arise out of nowhere, whose net effect is to destabilize America, to fray the social fabric, to divide people from each other, to make them easier to control, and in the case of Trump's first term, to undermine the White House, right? I mean, I don't know that any of that's true, but like what you're describing that we did in Bangladesh is what's happened here, and so it raises the question, like, was that all by design also? And of course it was, right?
Well, there's a lot there. USAID gave
Like, am I crazy to ask that?
No, not at all. I mean, that is, to me, the final blow. It's bad, and there's the moral question about whether to do this sort of dirty work abroad, and that comes down to different schools of foreign policy thought and to different views on the relative morality of different ways of attacking the issue of U.S. soft power influence abroad. But then there is the breaking of the firewall, where our foreign policy hounds are never supposed to bite the owner who feeds them, and that is, I mean, that is to me why this is a no-brainer, the reforms that are happening.
But do you think it's? I mean, look, just to go through them, the 2017 Charlottesville march, where all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there are all these Nazis. Like, who knew we had so many Nazis in our country? Right? And guys, I'm thinking one particular.
USAID has never funded Nazis, by the way.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
right. So, but like all out of nowhere, Trump gets elected, and all of a sudden, Charlottesville, Virginia, home of UVA, not a right-wing town, there are all these people showing up, led by a couple of people who are just so obviously feds. It's like not even a question in my mind. And they're like marching with candles, and we're going to restore the Fourth Reich or whatever. And then the next day is used to delegitimize Trump. And we're supposed to think that's like all organic? I mean, that sounds like exactly what groups like USAID do in other countries.
Well, I don't know about the Charlottesville case. I can see enough domestic antibodies on that with the FBI and whatnot. And the fact is
well, I'm not saying USAID did it. I'm just saying it's the same template.
Oh, right. Oh, well, the ability for the battering ram of our cloak and dagger dark arts only supposed to operate abroad to be laundered at home.
Yes,
is really the reason that I believe the current open heart surgery is a no-brainer, and I fully support the total abolition of USAID as an agency and tucking it under state and putting it through, having it mend, and then if at some point it needs to be rolled out, spun out into a different independent agency again with reforms in place and the appropriate staffing structure, we can have that conversation at a later time. There is the domestic one is a huge one. There's so many data points there. I think it's gonna be terrifying to a lot of people who are just now experiencing this. But yeah. I do sort of want to close the loop on this foreign side, because my concern is when you try to attack these things at the level of there's no U.S. interest that's served in it at all. It's totally crazy. You're going to encounter very strange layers of resistance trying to attack it from that argument. So here's an example I've been giving this week, and I'll
but we're
hit
good
with the thought experiment.
We're good. So people can get the idea, but you understand how thoughtful the guy is with his answer, and you can't talk like he talks and not have been deeply involved in this shit for a while and digging deep into it. Yeah. And what do the rest of us see? The rest of us see people talking about it. We see memes. We see short clips. We see, something that this money was spent on this. We're not seeing deep enough to really understand. And all I'm trying to say is whatever side you're on, this shit is way the fuck deeper than that. It's way the fuck deeper. And these are conversations that we need to have without telling each other that the other person is a moron. And I'm guilty of that. Okay? I'm very guilty of that. But we need to be able to have intelligent conversations about this and acknowledge this, that this is legit and this is what is going on. And I do think this, though, there's probably not a better person to oversee this than Marco Rubio, the head of the State Department. He was the only person that of Trump's nominees that was approved 99-0. I think maybe somebody else didn't show up or whatever, but there was no no votes with Marco Rubio. He was a senator, a respected senator. He's somebody that can talk to both sides and say, this is work we need to do for the good of the people and the good of the country, and stop, well, if this party is for this, we have to be against it, because that's how everything is now. Whatever one party is for, the other party is against. There's no compromises on either side, or if there is compromises, it's very, very rare. You know, like Senator Fetterman, who it's very rare that we're having a senator from the other side vote for confirmation of a Republican nominee or one of Trump's nominees to these offices. But he is somebody who, at least, not on every vote, but on some of the votes, being willing to join the other side and say, you know, this may not have been my choice for that position, but they are qualified. It's who the president wants in that position, and we shouldn't just oppose it just to oppose it, that I'm willing to vote for that nominee.
Yeah.
You know, that's being, we need to reach that kind of reasonableness so we can deal with this other big, huge problem here, because we're going to see this in other agencies and things too going on. And besides this, it didn't get into it right at this section right here, but they are using these things, and we're talking about billions and billions of dollars, to also not just fund their own personal causes with these NGOs, but to circle money from the government, your taxpayer dollars. And I 100% guarantee you that this is ending up in the pockets of some of the people in Congress. It's ending up in they are enriching themselves even through this shit. And that's like, we are talking legit corruption that needs to be rooted out. And then we have to decide, you know, again, how much do we want to meddle in other countries' shit? And what is the importance of it? And some of it may be, and some not. But I certainly don't believe we should be doing all of this stuff that we've been doing over taking care of the people in North Carolina that were devastated by the hurricane. We need to be taking care of Americans first. And where's that money going to come from? And again, just going by the numbers, if we're taking in $5 trillion and we're spending $7 trillion, and I believe pre-COVID we were at spending $4 trillion a year, we should actually have a little bit of a surplus. COVID's over. This other spending shouldn't have to continue. And there is a way. Or even if we're not, there's money there that at a minimum needs to be shifted to taking care of the American people, as much as I believe you are responsible for taking care of yourself. And I do. That's the real thing. Counting on the government to take care of you is just fucking stupid, because that's just not
Not very smart.
it's
Yeah.
not very smart. No, it's not. But it's way deeper. This is somebody who Musk has been listening to because of the censorship that's been not going on just in this country, but around the world. Open your motherfucking eyes. Okay? Understand about what censorship has been going on in the UK, and putting people in jail because of words, not real threats like just happened. There was, I don't know if you saw, but there was a Florida man that you know, threatened on Facebook the president's life, and he's been arrested. When they did go to check this guy out, apparently somebody saw his posts on Facebook and reported him to the FBI, I believe. And when they did their investigation, they showed up. Yep, that's it. Enough. Finally, finally, people who are saying this stupid shit online are being held accountable. This is the kind of stuff people should be held accountable for. You know, this isn't just opinion. When you're not a single time, there's not a. Now, I have said that we should meet in the streets because that was said by Hakeem Jeffries. That's not me calling for, you know, violence against other groups or other people. I'm just repeating what he said. And when I post that now, I'm going to put /Hakeem Jeffries next to that every time I do that now. Because it's not me. I will meet you in the streets, okay? But you're the one that said it, you know? This is beyond that. That's a call for violence. This is even beyond that. When you're calling for someone to assassinate the president, it just shouldn't be a thing. There's no Democrat, not Nancy Pelosi, not Joe Biden, never Obama. There's nobody that I've ever disliked on the Democratic side and then said, you know, we should shoot or kill them. Ever. I've never said that in words and in print or in comments because it just shouldn't be a thing. I can just not like you and just talk about that, or I can actually talk about the policies that I actually don't like. That's even better than addressing the person in most cases. But yeah, it's good that people are held accountable in that. But in Europe, if somebody says something about somebody transgender and not calling for even violence, but just saying something, you know, look at how my comment, I changed a word slightly with no thought whatsoever. Instead of saying trans comic book in Peru I said tranny comic book.
Yeah.
And even on X, still, my comment got restricted as far as people being able to see it.
Yeah.
Well, that comment in Europe, they've jailed people for that shit. Regular people, like they're putting people like, and all I did was restate what somebody else actually, what I believe the president's spokesperson, that she even mentioned it in one of her briefings. Like she was just listing off things where money had been spent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's all it was. This was in the news. I'm just repeating something that was in other news stories and other things that were printed. It's not just me making something up or attacking somebody even. Yeah. But yeah, they are doing that. And so Musk, obviously, that's the reason he bought Twitter. And that's why it's X now, is because of his belief about free speech and protecting free speech, and somebody that has been influential in that area is Mike Benz, and that's someone that you'll see that Musk will even post about. He'll mention Mike Benz in that. So whatever your thoughts are on, if you want to hate billionaires, I don't get it, but go ahead. But if you want a real better understanding, sometimes you have to listen to people that you don't like too. At least I do. You know, I'll read or listen to a Rachel Maddow quote or segment. I can't stand her, but I'll still listen just because I want to know. I don't want to know what somebody else's opinion of what she said is. I want to hear her say it or see the transcript of what she said and be able to determine that for myself.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying about this, and why I'm talking about it here on my podcast is just to help you guys and direct you to places where you can get information that you can trust, or information where you can make your own judgment about. You can take what you think is useful and dismiss what you think is not. But this kind of, that's what's so great about this kind of format, these kind of interviews, is really being able to learn about something. And I can guarantee you 98%, because I was one until I started digging deeper, that 98% of us commenting a week ago, it was all surface shit. We didn't really know or understand. And there's way more to it. So if you just want to deal with surface shit and just, throw little fire bombs at each other, whatever. But if you really want to understand this because you care about the country and you care about your kids' future, this is the kind of stuff that you need to listen to, and the kind of people you need to listen to as well. And then form your opinion. At least it'll be a more informed opinion.
Yeah.
And we may still not agree, but it will be a much more informed opinion.
Yeah.
For sure. So I just thought it was super, super interesting and really super deep as well. Like I said, I'm probably halfway through listening to this a second time, and I will finish that. That's just who I am. That's just what, interests me and what I do to make sure that I understand something. And I know something is complex when I have to listen to it twice.
Oh, that's for sure.
And I'll do that even when we're getting into fitness, nutrition, peptides, hormone replacement. When I find somebody like Dr. William Seeds, who I call the godfather of peptides, some of his interviews are so good that there are a couple interviews of his that I've listened to 2 or 3 times, or I'll listen again, not because I didn't understand it, but like a little bit of a refresher.
Yeah.
So that I
it helps you
remember
retain
some
it. Yeah.
points, because that helps me give information to clients that I know aren't going to do the homework, or they're not going to research. They're coming to me because they don't want to do that. But for me to pass on the important bullet points of something and how something works and how it would benefit them and what results they're going to get. And so that's I use that technique, I guess, on a regular basis. But that's what I have for the political stuff for today. And I did like doing what we did in the last episode, and getting into the stuff and going over the TRT. One of the things that I wanted to hit today about nutrition and fitness and working out, and I don't know why it hit me today, but again, this is just doesn't come from clients. It also comes from being involved in these different groups that I'm in and the questions that people ask. And someone had posted about the way they were going to train and how they were going to build muscle and target different cells and certain types of training hit certain fibers more. And here's the thing. A lot of this stuff is coming from people who are beginners.
Okay. In the groups.
A lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And really cool that they're interested, that they want to learn, that they want to know more. But some people get like way too deep in the weeds of the nuances and of the little things that might make a difference if you're doing the 10 other important basic things right. And then you're just trying to find any small improvement you can make,
Yeah, just
so to speak.
micromanaging it. Yeah.
Yeah. When what's more important is simply the basics.
Yeah.
And that's whether it comes to diet, at first, your first step diet wise should be to get rid of the highly processed, highly palatable foods that have zero health benefits to you and contribute to chronic disease and being overweight. First thing is just get rid of that. And stop with the what exact percentage you should be eating every day of your
Carbs or
macros, your
whatever,
carbs.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like first, how about just get rid of the junk? Just eat the good foods and see what happens.
Yeah.
The basics. The same within the gym, and in reps. You know what? Do you want to go for size or do you want to go for strength? If you're going to go for strength, you're going to be in the lower rep range. I would say I'm never big on, if you want to do it occasionally, I was never ever big on 1 rep maxes
They
or
don't
to
do-
see what my 1
They
rep
don't do
max
much
was,
for you. Yeah.
because it might show, again, it can show what's the most you can do one time, but it's not going to help you lift more, other than there's different ways to figure it out and use percentages and what you should be doing in your other things. But here, it's real simple. Whether you're doing for strength or whether you're doing for muscle, it all needs to be progressive. Okay, if you're going to be, say, in the 3 to 8 rep range, and the only time you should be down to 3 reps is possibly on the last set that you're doing for strength purposes, but really probably, in that 5 to 8 to me was always better.
The sweet spot. Yeah.
Yeah, the sweet spot for strength. And if you can do more than 8, you should increase the weight. If you can't get to the 5, you should probably lower it. And that's the same as if you're going for size or, more how you look and
The physique.
the physique.
Yeah.
And you're going to be, say, in the 8 to 12 range.
Yeah.
You're still going to, if you can do way more than 12, you probably can be increasing the weight. Now I'm talking on your last couple sets, not your warm-up
First
sets
ones,
to
yeah.
be getting going. And if you can't do at least 8, you should probably lower it. Same thing. So you're still going to do progression or progressive lifting either way. But just do the basics. Do the basic move. Do a standing curl. Dumbbell curl, easy curl bar, whatever it is. You absolutely do not have to lay on the floor to do it.
For a curl?
Dude, did I not tell you about that?
Laying on the floor for a
Laying
curl?
on the floor. There was actually, and the woman who was doing it was actually fit. So, but yes.
So I've heard of at a decline curl, but like back on the floor curl.
She was literally at a cable machine and put it all the way at the bottom, had the bar, her feet, her feet against it. So laying back, so it's stretched out and laying on the floor and
Oh,
curling like this on the floor.
okay. I
Like,
mean,
you know what the difference between that and standing is? Nothing.
mobilization, maybe like
Dude, if you want to
minor,
do
like,
that, okay.
yeah,
So you do have the floor as a brace,
yeah,
right? You could do that standing against the wall if you wanted to.
yeah,
Okay, but still, you do not have to. That's being so strict too,
yeah.
that we got to this thing. Form is important, but this whole idea that you should never move and the only thing that should move is your arms,
That's not good for you.
it's not.
You need to keep
Even
your
in like when I'm
stabilizers.
doing press downs, my elbows are coming up here. I'm not just keeping it like this. It's here and down.
There's
Here,
minor
down.
movements.
Like,
Yeah.
yes. And that's not to create momentum to do it heavier or anything like that. It's to actually,
It's how
you know
the
what the one
body.
that really kills me is um, seated rows,
Okay.
cable rows. You get the people that are here. Somebody I saw, and again, this was a fit person. They were here, short, like
The,
I'm
the
release the lat, let it go in front of you,
yeah.
and you are going to slightly move
Forward.
forward a little bit, and then back and
Yeah. No, I've
elbows
I've
straight back.
I've
But
seen a
it's
few
something.
videos on that specifically. It's
Uh-huh.
more of like a bicep and the front.
There are better bicep things to do.
Yeah, but I mean everyone has their kind of like niche or whatever they like to do at the gym.
I'm just saying, concentrate on the basics first. You want to add some other
Yeah.
funky
But
shit.
you're saying he was fit, right? So that means he's probably already been going to the gym for a while, so he had.
Well, let me put this out there too. You can get some benefit out of doing things that are not optimal.
Yeah.
That you're just lifting in general, you're going to get a benefit out of that, even if it's not the most optimal way. It's no different than pull downs. Again, people being strict and not moving when actually you're pulling it straight down and your movement is out of the way. Your movement is this. You're out of the way, you're back straight. You're out of the way, you're back straight. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to be just your arms and your back can't move
Yeah,
at
no,
all. That's just not a thing.
That's not healthy for your.
And you're just not getting the full optimal benefit of the muscle releasing and just getting the whole movement as it really should be. But obviously, people can benefit by moving heavy weight. 'Cause I've seen people do it and not use the best form, but they are moving it. They are gonna get more benefit than doing nothing, but is that the most optimum way? Is it, does it create any risk as far as injury as well?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, that too. And I'm not someone that usually says, well, you should never do this because of the risk of injury. Like, you should never squat. If you can squat and you want to squat, you should squat.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Me, it's just with my back, I'm better at doing a hack squat or a pendulum squat or, something else
Yeah. That's
very
not as
close or
tough on
very similar.
Yeah.
Just because I'm old.
No, I mean I have.
But for years I regular barbell squatted.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I don't do front squat or back squats because I have really bad knees on both sides. So I just do other exercises that help not tear up my knees. So
Yeah. So
I
you
mean,
can
there's
still benefit.
exactly.
Sure, absolutely. And there's all kinds of things like that. But you're still basically doing basic movements.
Yeah.
And, Dawn has been a great example of that and the things that she does and she posts and, we work out together, that the things all you're seeing the difference in Dawn from week to week,
Mhm.
mostly in the videos she posted, you're just seeing different outfits mostly. But you're seeing the same movements,
Yeah.
you're seeing the same exercise. And to think that you need to just do a complete change
Mhm.
in your workouts is not true either. Your body don't know. Your body does not know. Your body does not have a brain, but you do. and you just want to change because you're bored.
Yeah.
And if you need to change because you're bored, okay. But you'll be just fine if you don't. And I think ultimately that's where the real success is in the gym and in life, is doing the boring shit that we don't necessarily, that's where the discipline comes in. Doing the boring shit over and over and over.
Yeah.
And it's just time of doing it.
Just being consistent with
It's
it.
just being consistent. Same with us, what we're doing here. It's just about being consistent and just continuing on. And that's what's going to produce the results in most cases, especially for us, the way that we started and what we're doing. So whether it's nutrition or whether it's working out, my recommendation, and not just for new people,
Mhm.
but that was a lot for new people that I'm seeing, that is, be careful you're not getting too far into the weeds and into things that, you think you're just going to improve 1%, because are you really doing everything else 100%? Because what I get a lot is people say, well, my diet's pretty good. And if they actually when they actually do tell me what their diet is,
It's not pretty good.
it's often is not as good as what and they know that when they're typing that to me, when they're texting that to me, they know better.
Oh yeah. A lot of people aren't fully truthful with themselves, especially
Mm-mm.
especially with something like weight
Mm-mm.
training or weight diets or anything like that.
Because that's not the thing they want to hear. Because they enjoy the working out, they enjoy going to the gym,
Mhm.
but they don't want to be told that the thing that's holding them back
Is themselves.
doing the bag of Cheetos or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what's holding them back, is it's the diet. And as great as some supplements are, or as some great as some PEDs are, it will not
Fix your problems.
fix your problem.
Yeah.
No, you just like you can't out train a bad diet, you can't out PED a bad diet. A good diet is going to make the results from the PEDs and the training that much better. You want to get better results from the testosterone you're using. You want to get more muscle from the testosterone you're taking. Guess what? Eat more protein, cut out the crap, cut out the alcohol. But you don't want to, well, but I don't drink that, but don't give me the but. Keep the but. If you don't want to make that sacrifice, that's okay. Just know you're not going to get the most optimum result then.
Yeah.
And be okay with that. You have to decide what it is you really want. That's up to you. I can't make that decision for people, but I can tell you what kind of a difference that it can make, because again, Dawn is my example, that she drank socially. She didn't like being at home, but she would have a drink with dinner.
Yeah.
She doesn't do that anymore. And that change, she will tell you the difference that made and the results in her body now from that, and being on a good supplement program, having a good diet, and we still enjoy, good foods, that the difference is eliminating that is noticeable, and not just to her, but to other people that knew her, from St. Louis, because she moved from St. Louis to here to be with me. And yeah, people see that and like, wow, because she was in good shape before,
Mhm.
but going from good to great, that was the difference. And because it was only because it was only social, because it was only having a drink with dinner, it just wasn't that important to her.
Yeah.
And I think it probably helps that I don't, but there's different reasons that I don't, but
Yeah.
it probably
Helps with
helps.
the influence. Yeah.
Yeah, with the influence, of course, that, it's just not a thing. It's not,
Not necessary.
Right. And we have these goals, and we have similar goals. So we have these goals that we attack together.
Yeah.
So it's really goes hand in hand, and it's nice. But you don't have to have someone else do it with you. That's not, if you do, it is great. It is nice to be able to have somebody that does support you and does care about those things with you, and that you like to do those same things. And she does things that I like to do, and I do things that she likes to do. And, you have those compromises that way, but we don't really have to compromise that much because we really do like the same things.
Yeah.
So it just makes it
Makes it nice and easy.
way, way easier, So just that was my thing on the nutrition that came up. And, we're going to try to at least add a segment like this in on different topics that I see that come up with people, give people different examples of clients as well when we are doing these podcasts. Because the podcast itself is about things I like. And I do like getting into the political stuff. It's always interested me, even from my radio days years ago back in Toledo. But sports, because that's what interests me. And then the fitness, some business stuff as well here and there when appropriate, we'll throw in. But, the things that I'm comfortable talking about that are within my wheelhouse. And like I said, just things that I enjoy. That's the things we're going to hit. And try not to take 2 hours to do it. So I don't know. Did we do good today?
Yeah.
What are we at today?
114.
Yeah, that's good. I want to be in that 114, 130 is stretching it a little bit, but be in there. I think that's good that we can give, especially since we're doing 3 shows a week now, to be able to hit these things and be able to give the best that we can, and not just me wandering on and weaving like the president. But that's good. All right, so I'm done here because I'm going to get ready to watch the Super Bowl. We'll be talking about that on the next podcast for a few minutes, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah. Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That mean you really playing with your life.